Alright, so this next part of our story, the only way that I could really describe this to you is that Spider-Man gains the symbiote suit, but he never takes it off, and he's wearing a pair of black Air Forces on top of it. And this is Tobey Maguire Peter Parker. So just imagine that the doofiest motherfucker that you've ever met has unlimited legal power to take on any case. You combine that with a little bit of power and influence, and you're pretty much untouchable. Alright, so the story goes that these two meet in a nightclub in New York City, and the two hit it off almost instantly. Donald starts to explain to Roy that he's right now facing the greatest legal threat that he thinks he's ever faced in his entire life up until this point, being sued by the Department of Justice for a discrimination lawsuit. Now, the case itself was a pretty much open and shut case. The Department of Justice pretty much had two different types of testers go into Donald Trump's properties, one group white, the other one black, and try to rent from them. The white couple was not denied, but the black couple was. So they had pretty much undeniable proof that racism was occurring because the management in the building had advised them that they were told by upper management that they were not to hire or they were not to rent to black tenants. Now, you would think that this would be a pretty open and shut case, and Roy would have to argue his ass off to explain that Donald wasn't racist and he didn't give those instructions and this, that, and third. But no, that's not what he argued. He actually went the complete opposite route. He actually went and tried to countersue the government for $100 million or something ridiculous. It was a ridiculous sum of money, something that the government could not pay if they lost, pretty much. They couldn't afford a case like that. And unfortunately, it worked. Now, the legal scholars of the time were completely astounded that he got away with this suit with such a simple tactic. But that just goes to show you how effective Roy was. And he had a couple of rules that he followed that he's taught to Trump that have actually been written down in a couple of articles. And I'll read them off to you. See if this sounds familiar. All right, you ready for this? You might need a seat. So, rule number 1, never settle, never surrender. Rule number 2, counterattack, counter-sue immediately. Rule number 3, no matter what happens, no matter how deeply into the muck you get, claim victory and never admit defeat. Motherfucker. This guy is using tactics that he's been using since the fucking 70s. This is not new. How has no one caught on to the bullshit? He's been doing this nonsense for 50 plus years. Fuck. Oh, man. So between 1970 and 1980, Roy went on to become Trump's personal political fixer. Now, in this time, he settled many lawsuits using these tactics that I just explained. Now, luckily for us, but unluckily for the people at the time, the AIDS epidemic actually broke out, and they ravaged the gay community, and Roy was caught up in this. So the only reason why this motherfucker isn't alive is because he got HIV/AIDS. I normally don't wish the worst on people, but that motherfucker needed to go. I'm gonna be really honest. I'm sorry, I had to say it. That motherfucker had to go. So let's recap. He was one of the architects of the second Red Scare. He was one of the architects of the Lavender Scare. He gave us modern day Donald Trump. The people around him at the time described them, this is an actual quote, they described him as a new strain of a son of a bitch, as a power move. Somebody described an encounter they had with him as a power move. Apparently, he would take people out to dinner and proceed to eat directly off of their plates to show dominance. This guy was a really fucked up person. I'm gonna be honest with you. Yeah, I'm not feeling too sad that he got AIDS. I actually kind of wish he got super AIDS when he died, because that would be the only way that this would have any type of redemption. This guy literally destroyed our current political system and isn't even around to see it. But yeah, that's the story of Roy Cohn. Have a great day, everyone.